The Z's actually said in my portal broadcast that I did last week, my live with all my members, that many of us are floating above our bodies, but we don't realize we are. That in this time, a lot of us are floating somewhere just outside our bodies, and it's not because we're avoiding or because we've hooked out, or it's actually a natural state, but it does mean that many of us are feeling perhaps less grounded or less practical or less connected to old things on earth that we used to be, because as we go through this raise in consciousness, energetically, that's what's happening to a lot of us. We're being lifted up and out. And then, as you pointed out at the very beginning of this conversation, then sometimes we're slammed back down into the body and we're like sludging for a few days, going, oh my God, what's this? So I think to your point, when they speak about the crown and when they speak about the heart, whenever they speak about the heart and the crown, they always point out the throat, which is here too. And of course, you've got the third eye as well, which is visioning, it's seeing. It's also, this is what can connect us to telepathy and psychic knowing, which was another theme that came up in the April energy update, which, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know me, I put those out for free on YouTube at the beginning of every month, usually about 25-30 minutes, talking about usually 8 themes that I'm given to report on for the month. And who are we now? Who are you now? And that being a question for you, that is part of the process. But where the crown is opening, where the heart is opening, we'll speak our truth more. We'll say things that we previously didn't say. And if you aren't someone who's big on words or speaking, you will be doing it through action. You'll be changing your actions. You'll be changing your behaviors. And one of the things about the crown opening that the Z's have spoken about, which I think is an interesting element to bring in, is our cosmic consciousness. We can have a heart consciousness as a human. We can have a consciousness of love in the way we behave or the way we feel, or there might be practices we each do that make us get into that more expanded space. And you go, oh, I'm feeling more in my heart and I'm feeling more open. But they say that we're coming into a time of cosmic consciousness, which is understanding our place in the universe, understanding we are part of a very big whole, and that to some degree we've been quarantined from that knowledge for a long time, and we've been tucked away from our awareness of our position in the universe, not our position on Earth. And of course, there are many brilliant people who've been ringing that bell for a long time, holding open the knowledge for us of, no, we're not the only life form here in the universe. There's a lot, and they've been holding that flag for a long, long time. But we're coming into a period where all that starts to get increasingly disclosed, which I think is why, honestly, I think that's why you're seeing more people opening up to their own psychic abilities and their own intuition. Doesn't mean they're all going to become, they're all going to do it for a job. I think the increase in those of us out there who do this kind of work for work is by design. I think it's because we're at a time where more of this needs to be an example, so that we just become a more intuitive world. Again, not that people have to become a channeler or anything like that, but this is a part of our sensory awareness that we've been discouraged away from for various reasons or for different reasons, and it's coming back in force. So, one of the most powerful experiences of my life was, for many different reasons, but I'm going to focus on one aspect of the experience. I was there with a man who died very suddenly, very unexpectedly, and there were a small group of us working on his body to try and recuperate him. Well, it was actually about 15 of us, I think. And it was clear he wasn't going to come back. And at one point during this process, I remembered that I could channel. And I was like, oh, hang on a second. Yes, you've got people giving him CPR. You've got people doing Reiki. I was energetically trying to, help his body. But then I suddenly thought, no, talk to his soul. And his soul was way above his body, and it was orange. It was very, very orange. And he didn't want to come back. He was like, no, this is great. This is amazing here. He did not want to come back. But what I remember about his body was unrecognizable, and partly because of what he'd just been through. But it was more than that. What I saw was, the human body is a gravity suit. what actually makes us human is the soul and the way that we animate the gravity suit. One of the reasons I think models are chosen to be models is they're very good at stillness. So we look at their structure, we look at their body. You know, models are very good at containing energy, and also they have to feel something for people to be magnetized to there, but they're very good at containing, not necessarily animating, because if there's too much soul or personality animation, we don't look at the body. And, you know, a model's job is often to represent a body in many ways. Of course, they're representing a feeling as well, but so it's an arguable thing, what I just said. But what really hit me was, wow, the soul is what made him him.
Hey there, Inspired Evolutionary. If you absolutely loved this, well then here's a full conversation with this guest on the Inspired Evolution podcast. Check it out now.